Hi, I'm Jennifer. Welcome to another episode of MC Youth Presents. In conjunction with College Track TV, we bring you discussions on current events from a youth perspective. On the show, first we have a conversation about the effects of the recent presidential election and a short video on the Peace March organized by students of Palo Alto High School. Then we will close out with a discussion about some of the environmental effects of climate change and global warming. So let's get started with Michael and the panel discussing how they feel about the recent presidential election.
Hi, my name is Michael, and the presidential elections happened about a week ago, and we decided that we're going to focus on answering a couple questions on how we feel. Today I have three special guests. We have
Monique, Jennifer,
Miguel.
and we're just going to run through a few questions and take turns answering as long as we want on each one. All right, so first question. What was going on in your mind a day before the election? We'll start with Monique.
Well, first I was nervous because I didn't know who was going to win until the day of the election. I felt excited at first because I wanted to get it over with. I wanted to know who won, but sadly it was Trump. So
a day before the election, I felt confident because I thought Hillary was going to win. Everybody was saying that Hillary had the most people that would vote for her. So I felt pretty confident. I didn't feel nervous at all because I didn't expect Trump to win.
Well, personally, I didn't really take anything seriously. I thought of it as more of a joke. I didn't really see them as a presidential election. I saw it more of like a middle school class board president. Like everybody was going for either side, and it was pretty sad for me because it didn't really make me feel like we were voting for a serious president. We were just like voting for two middle schoolers that were trying to go for president of their school.
And for me, I thought that a day before the election, I thought it was pretty obvious that Hillary would win. So I was already accepting that she was going to win. Although for me, both presidents were equally horrible. So I didn't really have much care for it. So next question. How did you feel when you found out Trump won?
I was mad. I know everybody that didn't vote for Trump was really mad too, upset, and I felt disappointed because he's not my president. To me, he's really not my president because of what the things he's going to do. So
For me, I woke up and I saw it everywhere. It was on Snapchat. It was all over social media. I felt disappointed, and then I had anxiety. I was it was bad. I was so angry, and I felt like the people around me were also angry. But I was mostly angry at the people who had a chance to vote and they just didn't. So yeah.
For me, I mean, I was watching the election live. I was watching it with my mom, and we were in the living room, and I noticed that she was praying, she was crying, she was scared about seeing Trump go as far as he did. He was really winning. It was really bad. Because it was, if I remember, 240 to 190, I think, or somewhere around there, and it was just really terrible how bad he was winning, and I was noticing my mom was scared. I was actually still taking it as a joke. I didn't really want to accept it, saying that oh, this person is actually going to be our president. I still didn't see him as a person that will run this country. I didn't see him as a person that was taking this seriously. So I was actually devastated. I didn't like the day after noticing. I actually like found out when I woke up. I was actually like um, I was just shocked. I was shocked. I didn't really want to accept it, but I guess it just happened.
And for me, the fact that Trump won, I was very surprised. I didn't expect it at all. I was, I was, I was also kind of looking forward to see what his reaction would be to losing, because he had talked such a big game that he was gonna win, but he was losing big time at one point, and he ended up winning. Although he did lose the popular vote, and but then the electoral college. So a similar thing happened to President Bush. You guys remember?
Yeah.
And so this is one of those rare moments where the person that people don't vote for wins the presidency. But I'm an optimistic person, and even if Hillary won or Donald Trump won, I'd still think that both of them could redeem themselves in some way.
I have a question. Do you guys think that the electoral college should even still be going on? The fact that like Trump won the electoral college, which has actually like if you plan to like take over every state that could make a difference for your election, do you think that we should just get rid of the electoral college, or should we just like what should we do? Every vote counts for one person. Should we start off with Jennifer?
Oh no, you could go to him first. I'm still thinking about it.
I think that would. I mean, in terms of the Donald Trump case here, I think this is a very rare occurrence. So, the fact that it happened is, it's only happened a few times out, and the electoral college has a lot more pros than cons to it. This is one of the cons, obviously, but it's very rare, and the electoral college makes sure that even though not every single person's vote will count, it's a winner-take-all situation. That may be bad, but it also helps make the votes like we wouldn't have time to count every single vote. It would be very difficult. But that's all I gotta say.
That's why some people actually don't take it seriously, like in every state. So I know that in California, it's like it's almost every time, 9 times out of 10, it'll be Democrat, and like that's why some people here, their votes don't really matter, because if you're in this state and you're voting for, let's say, Trump, right, your vote doesn't really matter because it doesn't affect the electoral college. The electoral college is gonna actually like 55 votes are gonna be for the Democrat, so that means that 55 votes are gonna be tallied up for Hillary, or like for the Democrat, the person that's gonna be running for that party. So that's why some people think that, oh, your vote doesn't matter. It depends on those like states that are always gonna be solid, that like on that party. So that's why I think that sometimes some people are like, oh, I'm not gonna take this seriously. I'm not gonna go out and vote because it doesn't really matter for them.
It's true.
Were you gonna talk?
You can talk first.
Okay. I thought just each vote individually, but I feel like it would be hard for everyone to count that, like for it to be counted. But like you said, it was a con. This time, it was a con. So I don't know. I feel like people didn't take this election serious. Like they said, oh, my vote probably doesn't count, and probably a lot of people backed out, and that made the change, and that's probably why Trump won.
Yeah, Miguel brought up a really good point about how like that's a very big con about having the electoral college, and you guys remember Florida, right? And how Trump had that surprise victory. That was one of the main reasons he managed to catch up to Hillary Clinton. Did he like barely win in Florida? He like managed to do the winner take all situation.
Yeah,
take
I think
Florida.
Yeah.
So it is flawed. The system is flawed, and I hope one day they alter it somehow so it would make a lot more sense. I'm sure there's a solution out there.
I actually do remember Trump actually tweeted out saying something like if it was to be like for popular vote, he would have been actually like going out to like California or like all of the solid blue states and like try to go for them to like win their vote. You know, like he actually that's also the thing that I didn't really like about Trump. He would always tweet out stuff he wouldn't say out in public, and that's also one of the reasons why I didn't really take him seriously. But that's besides the main issue right now.
Okay, so next question. How do you feel about the protests against Donald Trump's success?
Uh, well, I think it's a good idea to protest. Because it gives you an opportunity to, so your voice can be heard and how you feel about it.
I think the protest. Okay, so on social media there was this like flyer going out saying high schoolers to walk out at 1:30 for a protest for everything that was going like everything that Trump was discriminating against like people or like race or like women. So yeah, my school it's very small, and we got to do hours in a gym. We couldn't walk out because there was like 3 cops, but I feel like in other high schools, like their voice was heard, and I feel like people around them, like the people they were just walking out in streets, just protesting, and I feel like their um their voices were heard, and other people saw them, and it came out on the news. It was pretty big for I guess the people in our community, and I feel like the people that saw that didn't feel alone anymore because they saw that a lot of people do like they still want us to be together even though Trump had his win.
Yeah. Personally, I actually really like it. I like how I'm seeing a lot of people voice their opinion. I really like how, um, especially high school students. High school students have been the most impacting because I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback from all of these people saying I really got more respect for other people. Because personally, I actually did participate in one of the protests that happened in my school. It was in Woodside. We all had like grouped up into the middle of the school and we all voiced our opinions on like what was going on. And actually after that, I actually got more respect for everybody in that school. I actually was really proud from my school. And basically it also like before the election it actually grew a lot of attention or like a lot of tension too in between people, and it started making a lot of people hate each other. But then after that protest, it actually like got everybody together, and we actually had some Trump supporters go up there and say um, that we this is the reason why we want to be a Trump supporter. They weren't racist. They weren't discriminating. They weren't doing any of like the negative things that Donald Trump was supporting. But they liked the Trump's views on like taxes, on like jobs and everything. They actually really enjoyed that about him, and it was actually pretty cool because I actually got respect for Trump supporters. Like it was really amazing seeing people voice their opinion, and personally, I really like it.
Yeah, oh shoot. And for me, I believe that hit, some protests are very. I support protests all the way. They're great ways for freedom of speech and democracy and all that. That's what that's the ideal U.S. way. But I do find a bit of hypocrisy in what some protests are. Not all, but like the really like rioty, violent protests that go on after Trump's success, because at one point Donald Trump was asked if he did lose, if he would like make a speech on like why he lost, like talk to his followers, and he said that we he probably wouldn't, but I do believe that protests, like just the healthy ones are good. And so I think that this is, my name is Michael, and this is Monique, Jennifer, and Miguel. Thank you for watching.
On November 15, 2016, Palo Alto students gathered at Litton Plaza in downtown Palo Alto for a rally and march in a peaceful protest for unity within their community. A diversity of people and cultures fighting for separate objectives came together to help show how they were affected. Both students and parents came to show their love and support for their community. It was a greatly put together peace rally, even though some of the high school students could not march to the plaza. They all got together and started another to include everyone. They chanted, "Black Lives Matter, build bridges not walls, education not deportation," to show their unity. In the end, this peaceful rally was a success, showing us the unity and love the Palo Alto community has for each other.
So basically, this rally is organized by students at Pali High, and what they're trying to do is basically spread love and peace and diversity. They explicitly said that it wouldn't be, it would be not anti-Trump, but it's a little passive aggressive. I think it's wonderful though that this is what they do.
Exercising their First Amendment right.
It's a good amendment.
The election, Trump being elected and everything.
It was personally surprising, but it really helped me understand just how liberal the media is.
Yeah.
I was scared at first, but I realized that Donald Trump isn't really going to do all the things he said, so.
Don't hate, motivate. There
you go.
That's the one.
That's our primary message.
Ours is like, it's like, my body, my choice! Her body, her choice! My body, my choice! Her body, her choice!
Yeah.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
In my opinion, this whole march is about just showing solidarity for all of the people who've been victims of violence in the last couple of years. Like, even we young people who didn't get to vote still really care about what's going on. I'm pretty disappointed because I didn't get a chance to have a say in that. But I think that I would like to hope that he will do better and that he will understand that the people of America are now all his collective boss. And I hope that he can live up to all the expectations that people who voted for him have. When you think of a rally or when you think of a protest, you think of something violent. And that's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. It's about standing with the people who have been sufferers of violence. And it's about showing them that we are here and we do care.
Okay, next on the show, Aaron and friends enlighten us on the effects of climate change. You're on.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and today we're going to talk about the environment with my panel, Sam and Hannah.
Hi.
All right, we're going to start off by talking about the Great Barrier Reef. So the Great Barrier Reef is one of the longest living things on the planet. It's been around for more than 25,000 years.
Wow.
So it recently started to die. So it usually dies and then regrows, but this time it hasn't regrown due to pollution in the Australian ocean.
Oh, God.
So I'm just gonna ask you guys a few questions about what your beliefs and your opinions on the Great Barrier Reef. Okay, so do you think that the United States and Australia should mobilize funds to help out the Great Barrier Reef and try to rebuild it?
Yeah, I do, because the Great Barrier Reef has been, well, it's just a big part. It's part of an ecosystem for so many animals. Right. If it dies, then so many animals will die with it.
Right. Yeah.
Which will throw off just a bunch, like the whole ecosystem.
Right. Yeah. There's turtles, dolphins, sharks, fish. They all live in the.
Yeah, and like when I was a kid, I really wanted to go to the Great Barrier Reef, and it's just sad that like when I grow older, it's not going to be around anymore.
Right, unless we make a change.
And also, if you're transferring funds, like why are we spending so much money on like fighting wars when we could literally be spending money on like keeping the Earth alive, like keeping ourselves alive too?
Right. So, what steps do you think we should take to preserve this international landmark?
First of all, moving funds, and also like preventing pollution, like in the first place. Like
and how would you do that?
Doing our own part, and also like doing what you can to stop companies from like actually being able to like being put in a position where they can cause this kind of destruction. You know.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So, why do you think it's important to the environment that the Great Barrier Reef stays alive?
Well, as I said, all the it's a giant ecosystem. Shit. It's a big ecosystem, and
Sorry, what was the question?
Why do you think it's important to the environment that the Great Barrier Reef survive?
Like you were saying, it's an ecosystem.
Right.
Like when one thing dies, like everything around it will die.
So you think it not only will affect the animals, but the rest of the ecosystem around it?
I think it could potentially affect humans, like based on what like we eat and like where we spend our time, and like depending on how important fish are in your life, and like the marine
I think they really
bioside.
hunt much fish from the Great Barrier Reef, but yeah, I get what you mean. Like it will affect other things,
and like plant life,
and how other animals react with other animals, right? So what were there like steps the Australian government could have taken to like prevent this in the first place, and what could we do if something like this happens again, like in the future, if the Great Barrier Reef survives, what can we do to preserve that?
Well, what we could do is just like have more laws against pollution, like a water bottle you throw in the ocean could kill like a few animals. So like just like having laws that prevent like something as simple as that.
But not just in the ocean. You don't have to like throw it in the ocean. Just on the ground in general, the wind can move it in. Just littering in general. But how would specifically towards the Great Barrier Reef? How did the pollution affect it? Like what specifically?
Oh, well, what happened was the Great Barrier Reef, it usually dies. That happens a lot, and it comes back alive because that's just something it does. But this time it's so full of pollution and a white substance called bleach that it won't. This time it won't come back alive, and yeah, that's the science behind it.
And what do you think causes this bleach that they're the white that they're calling on the plants? They're calling it bleach. What do you think causes it?
Well, as I said,
just
pollution.
Chemical imbalances in the water.
What specifically? So what causes? Was it chemical spills? What do you?
Maybe oil spills, probably, because that's like a huge problem.
Are there many oil spills near Australia?
I don't know.
Okay. So kind of going on, like continuing with this, what do you think the main contributing factors towards the failure of the Great Barrier Reef? What made it fall? Like
people.
Human irresponsibility. That's it.
Like people need to realize that like we live on Earth, it's our home, and we keep throwing things into the ocean that it's gonna come back on us one day, and we're not gonna have a lot left.
And you think that time's now? You think
it's coming really fast, especially
us.
with like overpopulation and people not doing their individual parts to like keep the Earth at the point where it's supposed to be, like in order to sustain life. We're like falling very short.
I have to agree with you. I always like, there's a bunch of movies where it's like, yeah, soon the world is ending. That's kind of upon us now. Like, it's not so much of the future now. It's like right now.
This
like
is the future.
This is the future.
This is what everyone was scared of.
Right. And so, for the viewers at home and you guys, what do you think that you could do, like personally, to help? Like, what could you do in your everyday life?
Well, clean up after yourself. Just. Like, I know there are a lot of petitions out there, like trying to get governments to change the ways that companies can interact with, like, nature and how they manage their resources and how and like you can also do your own part to like drive cleanly, to eat cleanly, to
What does eat cleanly mean? Like, what does that?
well, like organically, sustainably, like without all the pesticides that could potentially be going into water.
Right.
Not necessarily ocean water, but just in general. Just like do your individual part and like see what you can do about
To, like, to
You can
support
take like shorter showers and
Right.
stuff like that.
to support like and work with the people who are doing the good things instead of like buying from the people who are doing the bad, like the like.
Absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you. We're gonna move on to global warming now.
Excellent. I love that topic.
Yeah. So,
Whoa,
do you guys personally believe in global warming? Because it's kind of a controversial.
Yeah.
You do.
I mean, we were just talking about it.
So what do you think global warming is? Like, what's your belief of it?
The Earth is getting hotter.
Right, and
just in general.
And what do you think causing that? Is there?
Well, like the depletion of the ozone layer.
Factories. And
yeah.
all that.
Again, human irresponsibility.
Right. So you think the humans are responsible?
Oh,
for
absolutely.
All right. So how do you think that the environment will be affected by global warming? What specifically, like?
Oh, I actually have things to say on this.
All right. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
So like people like think global warming as the Earth's just getting hotter and stuff, but like it's doing a lot more than that. It's melting the ice caps and it's like it's endangering animals, and pretty soon it'll, as I said earlier, it'll come back to us to haunt us.
And what?
Sorry, what was your question?
I was going to say what areas specifically and what animals specifically are getting hurt by this.
I wouldn't know specifically, but I know that
Polar
like
bears.
certain places, yeah, absolutely. Like certain places are getting too warm for animals to live, and some places are flooding because of the ice caps melting. Yeah, just in general, like it's just
So,
like climates are changing and animals are having to migrate or they die out.
Is it really only because what you've talked about so far is really only in like the Arctic regions with the polar bears and the penguins, but what other areas are being affected? Because that's really all you hear about. Do you guys know many other places that are being affected by the?
Well, that's a tough line of questioning.
Thank you.
Good host. So I don't like this isn't global warming, I guess, but it's still human irresponsibility that a lot of animals are being hunted to extinction, like elephants and tigers. And
So not much is about global warming, but more on extinction, which is another topic.
Well, also,
that's-
like if they're if like animals are migrating, then certain ecosystems are changing. Like
Right.
certain land animals might be eating fish that are coming from places that they don't know, like that they're not originally supposed to be eating. Like it changes the ecosystem.
Right,
Not
and some animals
necessarily
can't
for the
always
worst, but
eat
it
the
is
same
changing.
animals, like they're
Yeah.
right.
It's
They could
different.
be killing off. Right.
Right.
And
certain like plants aren't able to grow, or certain plants that we don't want are able to grow because like the climates are changing in different areas of the world.
Right. So, do you guys have? Again, this is more a specific question, but what species are really becoming extinct from global warming? Like, what could we see the end of all polar bears? Could this be the end of penguins? What?
Penguins, yeah.
Penguins. So, like, that's a big thing for us. I mean,
We
a
all love
species going
penguins.
completely gone.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
like
It's
yeah, I read this article a few days ago. It was about how a giant ice cap moved and killed about 150,000 penguins.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah.
how did it like? Just by
like since
homes crushing, or did they
yeah,
actually
like it
crush
slid
into
into
them?
it. It slid into them.
Oh, it slid into their homes and destroyed all of them.
Literally.
Wow,
I
guys, that's really offensive.
Sorry. What animals,
like happy
getting
feet.
going along with this, what animals will suffer the most? Like we said, the polar bears and the penguins.
Humans too.
Humans. How will humans really be affected by global warming?
Well, like again with where we live, like flooding or like certain areas that need water, but like the water's drying up, and yeah, just in general the climate's
Is,
changing.
you
Yeah,
think the drought
like,
is because
absolutely.
of global warming?
No, that's because of a completely different thing that I have a lot of
Oh wait,
opinions on.
Okay.
wait.
Yeah.
I thought of another animal, so just
Okay, yeah.
put
Please.
it out there. Just basically every animal in the ocean, because the oceans
Right.
are getting hotter and they won't be able to survive
Ocean levels are rising,
in the hotter ocean.
Right.
Yes.
So I just want to go a little bit into extinction. You talked about for just a second there. What do you think what's the main contributors to extinction? Because that's a big thing with a big problem with our planet right now. I mean, animals are just disappearing like at a rapid rate.
Like we were saying, it's ecosystem change. Like
And
they can't
humans.
handle it. They're not adapted to handle it.
But is
This also ties into like believing that evolution is real, but like at least on a minor scale, adaptations are not happening fast enough for animals to be able to keep up with the amount of change that humans are putting on their backs.
But is it only because of the environment? What are the other big contributing factors to extinction? Hunting.
Well, but that's not global warming.
Right, and then also like deforesting.
Yeah.
Cutting down.
Which is also a contributor to global warming because we're getting less oxygen and more carbon dioxide from humans. Our carbon footprint is huge, which is essentially depleting our ozone layer, which is not good.
Which is causing global warming.
Yeah, which is
yeah,
because the sun is able to more immediately affect the Earth.
All right, great. I think that was a good talk. I'm Aaron Zucker. This is my panel, Sam and Hannah. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in.
That does it for this episode. We hope you have learned something. We will see you next time.